Alex gave you a little preview of our next segment, the case for and against Justin Fields. Now, I want to start with the case for. Obviously, the upsides there. But I think the best case for him, as I kind of said in the last segment, is the fact that he might just be the best available option. And I know that's not exactly the most, but he really might be. I mean, if Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield aren't on the board, they're gone. The top three quarterbacks are gone. Even if you get someone like J.J. McCarthy, when you're talking about 2024 and maybe even 2025, Justin Fields is probably your best option. So I think that's really the best case for him. Now you go to the upside. You talk about the mobile quarterback movement. Justin Fields is as mobile as any quarterback in football. He also has the arm talent to make any throw. And sometimes you're watching Justin Fields and you're like, how is this guy not an all-pro? How is this guy not in the MVP conversation? Because he does have that kind of ability. It's just been finding that consistency. The other thing that I think you have to mention in terms of the case for is the situation in Atlanta and the situation he had in Chicago. 3 different offensive coordinators, multiple different head coaches, not a lot of weapons, bad offensive line play. All of that in Atlanta with a guy like Zach Robinson, probably going to be the best offensive coordinator he could potentially work with a good offensive line and with weapons around him that could only improve this offseason. You got to think that if he was ever going to work, this would be a great opportunity for him to work.
Yeah, a couple more things in addition to those. If you're looking at from Arthur Blank's perspective, Justin Fields, and more so than J.J. McCarthy, more so than Kirk Cousins and Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields is a ticket. People are going to come to Falcons games on Sunday to see Justin Fields play football games. And if you're an Arthur Blank, I got to fill this stadium. That is certainly an attractive factor in all of this. And I'm not even going to – he is by far, outside of maybe, the top 3 quarterbacks in the actual draft, Justin Fields is by far the most attractive option in terms of entertainment value. Obviously, we want to win football games. I don't care what it looks like as long as we're winning football games. But if you do want to talk about having fun on Sundays, Justin Fields is loads of fun. And in addition to that is his age. When I just talked about the Kirk Cousins, is Kirk Cousins is not a long-term answer. The fact is in Justin Fields, though you're not getting a rookie contract per se, you are getting a rookie in terms of the age. You could, re-sign him to a new deal and you could have him as that long-term fix. So there certainly are upsides with Justin Fields. There's no denying that. I don't want, the sentiments from the last segment to kind of cloud over the fact that Justin Fields is an intriguing prospect in some capacity.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned, listen, the draft capital especially gets in the realm of a first-round pick. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was drafted 11th overall, and the Falcons obviously have the 8th overall pick. There's no way they're trading the 8th overall pick for Justin Fields. That would be a laughable trade, and I would be shocked if that's even discussed. But even 2 second-round picks or something like that, if that's what they're commanding for Justin Fields, seems a little hefty given he was an 11th overall pick and now you're trying to trade him. And he really hasn't shown any consistency over the last 3 seasons to justify that he was worth that 11th overall pick. It also would be funny. You mentioned Raheem Morris bringing back Justin Fields, who you passed over. There's a lot of you passed over in 2021. You passed over Raheem Morris. Oh, now we could have had them both. We could have had them both 3 years ago. That's a little funny. And then obviously the contract situation has to be viewed as a negative just because if you get a rookie quarterback that's good, even if he has to sit a year, you're talking about a cheat code for the next 4 years instead of a guy in Justin Fields. You're going to have to pick up his 5th-year option, which is going to be pretty expensive. And then you're going to have to work out a contract extension. And you're going to have to make that decision without a lot of data.
No data. In fact,
no option, data. Yes, but a contract extension, like you're going to have to make that decision very quickly.
Right. There's a lot of negatives, and this is why I've gotten real cold. As you kind of just summarized right there, the contract, the fact that he hasn't developed, and now granted, Chicago did basically virtually nothing to help Justin Fields' development outside of the DJ Moore acquisition. Cole Kmet is a hell of a tight end as well, I will say that. But, his development, even outside, given the parameters of what he was working with, was still below expectations. So that's a major red flag. And granted, playing quarterback in this league is extremely difficult. It's the most difficult thing to do in sports. And when you have things working against you, makes it even that much more difficult. Now, I mean, the contract, put the contract aside, put the development aside. Let's just ask Zach Robinson. Can you make it work with Justin Fields? I think that is the biggest question. I do think the contract and the lack of development and all this stuff is going to be brought up, but I think the end all be all is going to be, Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson having a conversation with Terry Fontenot and basically saying, can he run your offense, or can you tailor an offense to maximize Justin Fields' skill set?
I think 100% that's the number one thing, because I definitely think Justin Fields is on the table. I definitely think these are conversations that are going to be had. We've talked about it previously. When you look at Sean McVay, when you look at Kyle Shanahan, who Raheem Morris like and Zach Robinson to, what do they like in their quarterbacks? Well, you got Matt Ryan, you got Kirk Cousins, you got Brock Purdy, and even if you go to McDaniel, you got Tua Tagovailoa, you got Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff. They're all not very mobile, very accurate, very on-time quarterbacks. And even if you listen to Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot talk about the future of the quarterback position and what they're looking for, that is what they talked about. That is not Justin Fields. Now, if Zach Robinson, an extremely bright offensive mind, says, hey, well, I can get creative with this, I can tailor this, then you're having a different conversation. But that's the conversation that's going to have to be had. And I think that is exactly what it is going to come down to.
Yeah, Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot's comments, particularly Raheem Morris's comments about what they're kind of looking for, and it was a rough outline. It wasn't exact, but the description he gave of the quarterback they're looking for, it does not describe Justin Fields at all in terms of what we've seen from him with the Chicago Bears. That's not to say he can't be that guy, because we saw him at Ohio State. He was that dude. He was a superstar at Ohio State. The fact of the matter is the NFL is a different game. He hasn't shown that just yet. And in terms of what Raheem Morris, obviously things can change. This is a fluid situation. Like they said, collaboration, something's going to change, something's going to give. But at this point in time, in terms of what we know, what Raheem Morris said, what they're looking for, and what we know Justin Fields has done in the NFL with the Bears, the two don't match up pretty much at all. And that's the primary reason I've really cooled off on the idea in the last 48 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you, and I'm pretty cool on the idea. I think plus 40, we just talked about, or plus 140. I think it's way less that he ends up in Atlanta. But as I said, I think another big factor in all of this is going to be, hey, Zach, can you do this? If he even says maybe yes, it might just be their best option, because we've talked about it time and time again, that the options are looking slim unless one of those top three quarterbacks falls and the Falcons can trade up. Coming up after the break, Big Low Country is going to join us to talk about the Raheem Morris hire and his introductory press conference.